meals today. How are we doing? Good?
Great.
Yeah, everybody's eating, but I am going to pick on you. So, but first I'll go ahead and introduce myself and explain the purpose of these roundtable meetings. So, I'm Melissa Dockery. I'm the Safety and Compliance Director for both Combined Transport and Blackwell Consolidation, as I like to call Team Combined. So the purpose of these roundtable meetings, there's a couple different reasons why we do this. One, so that you guys can, get to know different staff members and managers that host the meeting. Two, so that we can give you updates on the current happenings. It almost serves like a newsletter, if you will. And you can get updates on different departments, maybe on departments that you're not even going to be working in, but it's neat to know the other side, right? And we record Facebook Live and post later for those that cannot watch live for drivers that are unable to make it through the yard, so that they can keep up to date as well with the current happenings. So, because I'm the Safety and Compliance Director, I'm going to go over safety and compliance today. So you guys are in luck. But before I do that, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to go around the room, and it's not so much for me this time, it's for the listeners and the viewers, so that they can see what kind of diverse group we have and get to know who you are as well. So tell me your name, how long you've been with the company, and what division you're going into. And it doesn't matter if you've only been here for a couple of days. Everybody, whether you've been here for a couple of days or 10, 20 years, has something to contribute. So start off with you.
Hi, my name is Justin Watkins. I'm been here 5 days, my 5th day. I work in driver services. I like it. Seems like a great company, very family orientated, and
great. And you're going on the over-the-road maintenance
Yes.
side of it, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. We're glad to have you. You seem pumped.
Thank you.
That makes me pumped. I'm like, let's do it.
Stoked. I'm ready.
Done.
I'm Don Henry, Heavy Haul Division, rehired, been back here for 5 days. Everything's been great.
All right, you about ready for your truck assignment?
Already got it.
You did it today? Awesome.
Still gotta get my measurements and packing everything up.
What kind of trailer are you going to pull?
DD 140, double day.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Mike Turner, going back to FAK. Time forever.
Yep, forever, huh? How long has it been?
All together, before I started the preloader in Victorville in '99.
99, wow, that's crazy. Gosh.
James Green, I'm in GR here, working on my 2nd year on this.
Okay,
Closing in on 2 years.
awesome.
Scott Robinson, I've been here for 2 weeks, just finished back in class, and from Huntington Beach, but I live in Ventura County now.
Okay, awesome.
Keep it in here, been here for 5 days, going for the glass.
Okay, great.
Daryl Crosby, I think I'm going on 19 months. I'm transferring over to the glass division.
Okay.
From Southern Cal,
Awesome.
County.
It's one of the best things about this company is just because you start out somewhere doesn't mean that you have to end up there, you know.
Yep.
So that's great that you have aspirations and you're going towards your goal. It's awesome.
Juan Talley from Detroit, Michigan. Been in like 9 days, going to the glass division.
Okay.
Hope we're going to get it.
Awesome. Get it. Sorry.
My name is Earl. I started out as a Blackwell driver, and I'm the backing instructor here. And I've been here 6 years.
Yes. Jack of all trades.
Brandon Galliard, I'm out of Fresno, California, going to Blackwell Reefer Division student program.
Awesome.
So,
I'm Aaron Daniels. I'm from Bakersfield. I've been here since Tuesday. My uncle Charles works here, and I'm going in the Blackwell Division.
Can I ask your uncle's last name?
Daniels.
Oh, Charlie Daniels. We love him. That's awesome.
Hope you're watching, Charles.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. He's pretty involved with
I know
everything.
Maria probably is. It's my aunt, so.
Yeah.
Hi, Maria.
They're great people, man. Great people. Well, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Tyler, I do marketing, and I've been with Combined Transport for 8 months now.
Oh my goodness, time
I know,
flies
time
when
flies.
you're having fun, I guess,
When
huh?
I'm filming in these round tables.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, thanks to Tyler, we're able to do Facebook Live and we post the videos on YouTube as well. Is there anywhere else that we post it these days?
No, we're just sticking to YouTube.
Just sticking to YouTube. Okay. And do we still post the live recordings later?
So basically, when they're being streamed live,
Mhm.
you now have the entire database that you can go back and look at any of those live recordings.
Awesome.
So you'll see them all on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, so if you guys ever miss out on a meeting, or there was a particular speaker that you wanted to hear what they had to say, you can always go on YouTube and view it later. So that's pretty awesome technology. All right, so I'll apologize ahead of time for those of you that were in orientation and a part of the Wednesday tour. Some of this stuff will be repeated, but I'm gonna go over it again also for the viewers, because we have some serious things that we need to work on as a company, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until we can start making a difference. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is Infinity, our learning management system. So those of you in orientation should have already completed your first training on the app or by logging in online. Is that accurate? Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's basically the gist of it. It's once a month. They call it a learning management system. It's becoming pretty industry wide these days. It's kind of like the ELD units. Everybody wanted to grumble about ELD units when they first came out, and now we just deal with it, right? And then the same thing happened with outward facing cameras. Everybody grumbled about it, and now we just deal with it, and it's actually helped us out quite a bit. So the same thing with the learning management system. We implemented it in June of last year. We've been really lenient, but we're starting to crack down. I've given everybody a year to get used to it. It is mandatory lessons that you guys have to complete once a month. We try to keep it 10 minutes or less, which, that's, you can do that while you're fueling, you know what I mean? So every month, we go to the safety committee meeting, and every month, and then we vote on what we are going to assign for the next month. Okay, but most of the ideas for the lessons come from you guys. So if you guys ever have any ideas, or you feel like something should be focused on, or you're seeing something out there that just ain't right, you can always call me or Cody Coons, or email safety@ and let us know. Of course, if you're seeing stuff out there, you don't have to give us names. I know how y'all are, but allow us to address it in a blanket fashion, right? So I'm just going to go over how compliant we are with the lessons really quick. So in June, we assigned a CSA overview. We're at 97% compliance. So that is amazing. That's the highest it's been thus far. Then the next month, we waited until October to assign another one just because it was so new and everybody was struggling. And the next one was personal conveyance. We're at 97% compliance. The next one was driving in extreme weather. That was 97% compliance. The next one is log certification. We're at 93% compliance. Seatbelt use, 95% compliance. Proper pre and post trip inspections, 92% compliance. Crash prevention, 86% compliance. And ladder safety, we are at 61%. That's this month. So you guys should have done ladder safety. Now, I'll be real with you. A lot of the videos are JJ Keller status. You know what I mean? They are. But we really tried to pick a platform that was user friendly, really simple for you guys. And of course, cost was a factor as well. So now June will be a year since we launched it. And I feel like we've given you guys plenty of leeway, plenty of time to get adjusted. So effective the first of this month, we started deducting performance bonuses for drivers who are not compliant with and up to date with the lessons. So we started out with drivers who have not completed all of the assignments, so all of the ones that I just read off, and there were 4 or 5 drivers. And now the next step is May 1st, we're going to start deducting performance bonuses for drivers that haven't completed 3 or more assignments. Okay, so we're really trying to give you guys some leeway, but mandatory means mandatory. It has to be done. And the reason why it's mandatory is, so June of last year, we received notice from our insurance company that due to accidents, the frequency and severity of accidents being on the rise, and our CSA scores, which were way worse in June of last year, that they were going to increase our premiums 18%. 18% on $1.6 million. Do the math. So me and the insurance company worked together, and they said, if Combine can come up with a safety initiative that we think that will make a difference, then they'll go ahead and reduce that premium increase, okay? So we did, and the Infinity platform is what we came up with, and so our insurance company wants to make sure that we have 100% compliance throughout the fleet, which means that every single driver that is active with the company completes their lessons. We give you a month to do it. We assign it the first business day of the month, and you have until the last business day of the month to complete, okay? Now, I don't want to deduct performance bonuses. I don't. And that's why I've waited a year, because I want this to be positive. I want it to be a positive thing. Do I think watching a 10-minute video once a month is going to prevent you guys from getting into an accident? No, I don't. So then why am I doing it?
Because insurance.
Well, for the insurance, yes. But also, I think that watching a video once a month can keep safety or compliance, depending on the topic, at the forefront of your brains, right? So we as human beings have a tendency to get complacent and comfortable, and we get a little lax on things after we've been doing it for a while, you know? It's just human nature. So I think that this is kind of like a refresh button for you guys. And I do think that it will help, and it already has helped. June of last year, we were over the threshold in 3 categories for CSA on the combined side and 2 on the Blackwell side. And now we are, I don't want to say only, but now we are just over the threshold for the hours of service category for both companies. So we have made great strides in improving our CSA scores, but we still have a ways to go, okay? Any questions on the learning management system? No? If anybody has any questions, or say you're not able to log in, or maybe if there's a glitch in the system, you can always call Cody Coons or myself. We have access to the back end. We can see login attempts. We can see if your cookies need to be cleared, you know, your browsing history. We can see if you took 50% of the test and left the other 50%. So we can help you on the back end if you need help, okay? If it's not something that we can fix, we'll get a hold of the Infinity customer service reps, and they'll help us get you taken care of. Okay, that is our Infinity system. So I mentioned CSA and being over the threshold on hours of service for both companies. I want to go over our CSA score. So everybody in here knows what CSA is now, right? Okay. For those of you watching, if you don't know what CSA is FMCSA's measuring and accountability system as far as safety and compliance is concerned. FMCSA says that motor carriers have to stay under the thresholds for each category, otherwise you're an unsafe motor carrier, okay? So I'm going to go over those categories right now. Unsafe driving, which is speeding, seatbelt usage, distracted driving, being in the improper lane, that all falls under unsafe driving, okay? The threshold is 65% for, we're going over combined right now. Threshold is 65% and we're at 18%, so that's really good. The next category is called the crash indicator. So any DOT reportable accidents. So that would be injury or tow or fatality, any involving that. So the threshold is 65% and we're at 37%. So we're halfway to the threshold, right? which is still pretty good, honestly. Hours of service, the threshold is 65%, and we're at 88%. That's huge.
That's big.
That's big. So it's huge. What falls under hours of service? PC, going over your hours, not taking your 30-minute break, which obviously does not apply to you, Don, if you're under an overdimensional load. And actually having blank logbooks in the cab of your truck and available goes against your hours of service score. Not having the instruction manual to the ELD unit, not knowing that you can undock the unit and hand it to the officer is a CSA hours of service violation. There are general form and manner, adding the trailer number, the shipping information, making sure that everything is up to date electronically, just like you would if you were filling out a paper log, right? That's called general form and manner. So all of that falls under the hours of service category. Certifying your logs, that is our second biggest violation next to incorrectly utilizing personal conveyance, okay? So that all falls under the hours of service category. Please stay vigilant when you're out there. We need your help. It takes a village. It takes everybody, okay? Vehicle maintenance, threshold is 60%, and we are at 60%. So if we get one more percentage point, we're going to get back over that threshold. Controlled substance and alcohol, threshold is 80%, and we don't have a score there. Hazmat, same thing, threshold is 80%, we don't have a score there. And then driver fitness. What goes under the driver fitness category? Anybody know?
Glasses.
Yep, so if you have restrictions on your license, such as corrective lenses or maybe hearing aids, make sure that you're actively wearing them or using them while operating the commercial vehicle. That falls under the driver fitness category. Keeping up on your med card, making sure that it doesn't expire, and making sure that it's certified with the DMV. That also goes on under driver fitness, expired CDLs and whatnot. So that all falls under that. The threshold is 80% and we're at 48%, so that's pretty good. So for combined, over on hours of service and dangerously close to getting over the threshold for vehicle maintenance. How can we prevent vehicle maintenance violations? Proper pre and post trip inspections. And what was that, Don?
Get it recorded and work on
That's right. So when we do proper pre and post trip inspections, we catch things while they're small before they become bigger. When they become bigger issues, they become more expensive. They become safety concerns, right? And they become DOT violations. So I will tell you that FMCSA is working on redoing CSA and modifying the categories. And if the proposed ruling goes through, they're going to have two vehicle maintenance categories. One for driver observed, which means that any violation you get that you could have caught on a walk around or a pre and post trip inspection, and then one for the company for something that you guys wouldn't have been able to catch on a walk around, right? So that'll be really neat if that does go through. I'm looking forward to that. They're also going to raise the thresholds on some of the categories, and they're going to get rid of the controlled substance and alcohol category, and they're going to move that inside of the unsafe driving category. So that's some things to look forward to as far as CSA is concerned. For Blackwell, I know the majority of you are Blackwell in here. So unsafe driving, threshold 65%, we're at 53%. It's a lot of speeding tickets, okay? Crash indicator, threshold 65, we're at 43. Hours of service, threshold 65. What do you think Blackwell's at?
65.
80, 85, 86,
Wow.
90?
90.
Damn.
On what?
Blackwell hours of service, we're at 90%. I'm going to tell you right
That's
now,
those dedicated runs.
it's
They kill you.
PC is killing us, man. It's killing us. I promise you, you can make money without falsifying your logs. You can. It is definitely possible. I looked at some of our top earners for last year and took a look at their logs, and they're running legal, you know, so. Vehicle maintenance threshold 80%, we're at 32%. Nothing for controlled substance and alcohol, nothing for hazmat, and then driver fitness threshold 80, we're at 23%. Which June of last year, both companies were over on the driver fitness category, so, and the vehicle maintenance category, so we've really improved there. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, you guys. And the thing is that a lot of drivers, one of the biggest misconceptions is that when you get a violation, it only affects you, right? But it doesn't just affect you. It affects the whole fleet as a whole, because our pull-in rate goes up. If we're over the thresholds for the different CSA categories, we get flagged with DOT and they pull us in. Blackwell's been at 100% pull-in rate in California for quite a while. I have heard from the drivers that it's been letting up a bit. So some of them have been getting green lighted. So I'm assuming that is getting better, but it's still an issue. What else happens if we're over the threshold in CSA categories? How else do you think it affects us?
Insurance goes up.
Insurance goes up, yes. What about customers?
You start to lose customers.
Yeah, in some of our existing contracts, we have a CSA clause in there that the customers expect us to maintain good CSA levels, right? So if they wanted to, they could bring this up, you know?
Does DOT have a limit as far as the CSA for that? I mean, where they say, okay, you can't reach this point, or?
Well, I don't know what happens if you reach 100%.
No. I'm saying, what's the threshold?
For hours of service?
Yeah.
It's 80%.
Okay, so if you go over 80, does that?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 65%,
okay,
excuse me.
65, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you go over, doesn't DOT send, like, say, you know what, you can't do certain this or whatever, if you get
So,
past a certain point?
we get flagged for intervention once we get over the threshold. So what does intervention mean?
Someone's gonna intervene.
They come to the yard.
Yep, so audit.
Audit, yeah.
Yep, audit. That's what flagged for intervention means. And you bet your butts that they audited us the end of last year. So for Blackwell got audited, and we passed. Everything was really good, except for, so when they audit, they pick random drivers, right? And for the random drivers that they pick, we have to supply them the last 6 months of logs. We have to supply them your driver qualification file, and we have to supply them all of your inspections and citations and all of that good stuff. So we were 7 PC violations away from failing the audit. So a PC violation in DOT's eyes is considered a critical violation, okay? And the reason why is because when you utilize personal conveyance in a manner that benefits the company, you're falsifying your logs because you're saying that you're off duty, okay? And that's a huge deal. And so had one of the drivers had 7 more PC violations, a full-scale audit would have been launched on all company operations. We would have been fined a minimum of $10,000. It could have been more. And we could lose our safety rating. And that is huge, right? Customers look at your safety rating. So it's a really big deal. That it's kind of like a domino effect with the CSA scores, right? So, and then Combined was just selected for a DOT audit as well the beginning of this year, and we're still undergoing that one. So I'm really hoping that with the safety initiatives that we've put into play, and how much more we've been focusing on compliance and stuff like that, that we're gonna be good. But that's what happens. I mean, when you get violations over the road, it doesn't just affect you. It affects every driver and your pull-in rate, and it affects the company, and hopefully doesn't affect the company's ability to maintain, customers or get new customers, and that, that in turn affects the freight, and that in turn affects the money in your pocket, right? So extremely important. Any questions on CSA? Anything? No? It's pretty boring stuff, huh? But it is what it is. We have to abide by it. You know, do I agree with FMCSA's measuring system? No, I sure don't. I don't think that they're measuring it correctly. And you know, they stack us up against other fleets of our size. So we are in the 250 to 500 truck range, and that's what they compare us to for CSA is other fleets of that size. So,
How are we measuring up?
well, that's where that's where us being over the threshold comes into play, because compared to other companies of our size, that's how the percentage is calculated. You know what I mean? So
Oh, by
compared
average
to
amongst
these
all the
other
companies?
100 companies or whatever it is, you know, they are all at, you know, whatever percentage, and we stack up to them in a worse way. Does that make sense? It's really difficult to
In
explain
those
how they
categories
measure
that
it.
We're above the threshold.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do they do? They just make an appointment with you, or they just walk in?
So they sent
Hey,
us,
Well, Joe Bro's law books or whatever, and see.
they can absolutely do that anytime they want, but the way that they did it this last time is, thank goodness we had an off-site audit. And so they notify us via email, and then we have deadlines that we have to meet, and we have to supply, you know, logs and driver qualification files and whatever else under the sun they want, accident registers, you know, driver lists, anything, and toll receipts, bills of lading for every driver that they request, that they randomly select. For whatever time period of logs that they request, we have to supply all bill of ladings, all toll receipts, all fueling records. And what they're doing is they're cross-referencing the bills of ladings and the toll receipts and the fuel records to what your logbooks look like, right? And so that's how they know. That's right. And that's how they know if you guys are incorrectly utilizing personal conveyance. Because they're like, well, you picked up at point A and you delivered at point B, but you said that you were going to find parking for 300 miles. So
That took the place of the calculator.
yes, pretty much. Yeah, so they're cross-referencing. They're pretty smart, and they have a lot of analysts that are really good at what they do. So yeah, please follow the rules, be compliant, help this company be the safest and most compliant motor carrier out there. That's
Just
my
make it
goal.
over the 8 days, I'll be all right.
Over the 8 days? Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions on auditing or anything like that? Okay, so the last thing I want to go over is litigation. I don't really feel like litigation is spoken about a lot. It's kind of like a hush-hush thing. But I think that the drivers need to be aware that litigation is on the rise, and it's becoming an industry standard, to be honest with you. Nuclear verdicts are happening and putting companies out of business. So let's go over that a little bit. So you get into an accident, say it's a little fender bender, whether you're at fault or not, okay? And no injuries are reported at the time of the accident, and nobody was towed. Fine, exchange information, you're on your way. Weeks or months later, these people are realizing that they can get a lot of money out of trucking companies. Sometimes they're poached by attorneys. Sometimes they're just talking to their friends, and you know, Joe Blow down the road got $250,000 for whiplash, you know. So then they're retaining counsel, and then they're suing us, okay? And it's not just a combined problem, it's a every trucking company problem. And what happens once that happens is they send us a letter of representation that they are represented by counsel, and then we have to preserve everything. We have to preserve the maintenance records on the truck and the trailer that was used. We have to preserve bills of lading for 30 days. We have to supply the last 6 months of your logs. We have to supply your driver qualification file and your training records and anything under the sun that they can possibly get their hands on. So why are they doing that if most of that has nothing to do with the accident? Catch a slippin'. They want us. The more stuff they request, the more likely it is that they're going to find a box unchecked, or you know, we didn't dot our I's or cross our T's, or that because they want to prove negligence. They want to prove they're saying you guys are not a safe motor carrier, right? Or you hired an unsafe driver, okay? And that's where the training records come into play at. So they want to try and prove negligence any way that they can. And I will tell you, more times than not, we're settling outside of court. Why are we doing that?
Because then it's being reported that you lost the case or whatever.
Yeah, so we're trying to avoid going to trial, right? All the costs associated with going to trial, and we're trying to avoid nuclear verdicts for something that could have been very minor, you know? So these people are getting away with murder. They really are. And it's really sad that they're doing this, but it is reality, okay? And we have to be aware of it. So when and if, God forbid, you guys get into an accident, don't ever admit fault to anybody. You can tell driver services and claims what happened, right? But don't ever admit fault. There's outward facing cameras in the vehicles, and it has audio once a trigger happens. So some sort of G-force, you know, hard brake, whatever the case is, it automatically offloads 30 seconds of video footage, okay? And in that video footage, it has audio. So when if you get into an accident, don't say, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that, or I'm so sorry, or anything like that, because that can be held against us and against you in the event that litigation arises from the accident, okay? I really think that we need to educate the drivers more on this subject. You know, it's always been this hush-hush deal. Don't want people to know that you're getting sued, but it is a problem. Okay, and that's also why it's really important for you guys to run legal, okay? Because we have to supply 6 months of your logs. So, and don't you think that they have analysts too that are going to cross-reference? And oh yeah, they do. Yep. Yeah, because they want the plaintiff attorneys want more money, you know? So they're going to do everything they can to try and prove negligence either on the driver or the motor carrier. Okay, so if and God forbid you're on personal conveyance and utilizing it incorrectly while getting into an accident, they can press criminal charges because you're falsifying your logs. And we've had a driver that got charged with a felony. CDL Legal represented him, and it was dropped down to a misdemeanor. So it happens. I'm not just saying this just to blow smoke. Like it's reality.
No, we know it happens.
Yeah. So. And I deal with it all the time. So if I can get anything into your guys' brains, that's the bigger picture, right? You gotta look at things from a 10,000 foot view and then kind of hone in on it. What are we doing? Does this benefit the company? You know, am I making the right decision? All of those things, okay? All right, so I am gonna wrap it up here soon, but I wanna leave you with this. So, and I'm pretty sure I told you guys this in your Wednesday tour, but you get out what you put in here. This means a lot to me, and this is why I keep saying it, because we will help you be successful. We'll do everything we can to help you be successful, but ultimately, it's up to you guys, right? So we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make him drink, right? So if you are the type of driver that sleeps through your alarm every other day, you don't take care of your equipment, you don't do pre and post trip inspections, you don't communicate, you know, your service levels are way down, you're not going to make it here. I'm sorry, but you're not. But if you're a driver that takes pride in what you do, and this applies for corporate and really anywhere in the world, to be honest with you, if you're the type of driver that takes care of your equipment, you communicate, you know, you're on time pickup and deliveries, and all of that good stuff, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want here. You can move divisions, you can move up to multi-axle ultimately if that is what your goal is, you know. Like I said, just because you start out somewhere doesn't mean that you have to end up there, but you got to have the drive, and you got to take the pride in what you're doing, and pride in the company, and then it should be no problem, you know. So I'll leave you guys with that, and I'm really glad that you guys are here. I hope that